welcome to the Social Scoop, where we keep it raw, keep it fun, and keep it real. I am Bansari Trivedi, and this is not just another talk show, it's a whole new vibe. All eyes on you. So, was that the real Charan, or are you somebody else?
There is always one you, and you have updated versions of it.
About ChatGPT, don't you think they are misusing it?
One day my father told me a line saying that if you are a brand, you don't require a brand. Gone are the days it's all about the answers. It's all about the questions now. Wherever we are, why the road is like this? Why these timings? Why this rule? When someone asks why, because it all starts with a why.
Hello and welcome to the Social Scoop, where we keep it real, we keep it fun, and we keep it raw. I am Bansari Trivedi, and this is not just another talk show, it's a whole vibe. Here at our studio located at Delhi Public School, Nacharam, we bring in Changemakers, we bring in social media influencers, we bring in entrepreneurs and legends who have made it big in their lives. But that's not all that we are exploring. We are exploring everything creative, everything trending and worth talking about. No filters, no boring scripts, real conversations and pure energy. And to keep up with the high energy, I have with me at our studio someone special who is known to be the students' guiding light, the students' mentor, somebody who's basically running a revolution among the students. I am pleased to welcome Forbes 30 Under 30 entrepreneur, Shri Charan Lakkaraju. Hello Charan, how are you?
Hi Bansari, thank you for having me here.
How are you doing today? A very good morning to you.
Well, it's early part of the day, it's damn fresh and it's almost like I'm going back to school. It's very nostalgic to be at DPS Nacharam and can't afford it when I was young, but now I'm here as a guest.
So Charan, tell me, how were you as a student? Were you always the disciplined one or you were the mischievous one?
I was a very studious guy, being son of a school principal. You hardly had an option when you are always like under the watchful eyes of your father, where he managed thousands of kids and you have two at home. Now you should imagine the kind of attention that we got.
Definitely.
And those days were always like, I studied in Old City in a very humble school, which was in the neighborhood. Because the idea was I was not going to the convents, and in 90s, the trend was always about the missionary schools and the convents and stuff. Mm-hmm. But my day used to start with, it's a small 400 student school. But my language and everything got built during those days in the school assembly, because I used to read the Hindu newspaper in the morning, start with the daily headlines and what are the important points of the day, this day, that age, and all these things has shaped me well. And there were a lot of multilingual people from different backgrounds, and that helped me to empathize with all the sectors of the society.
So Charan, tell me, how do you feel when you're introduced as the student's mentor, as the student's guiding light, somebody who helps students build their networking skills, their social skills, somebody who's helping them beyond their schools and colleges? So how do you feel when you're referred as their guru? You are running the biggest student tribe. So how do you feel about it?
See, to be honest, what I always feel like as an entrepreneur, you always solve the problem which you went through. I missed my IIT and I studied in a very normal engineering college, and I was always bullied and saying that, okay, fine, you don't belong to an elite college, you can't achieve much, and all these things were there. One day my father told me a line saying that if you are a brand, you don't require a brand. And when that made me think that there are a lot of students in tier 1 and tier 2 places, and the world is changing also. The new world order says that it is about you and what is the talent that you have, and that makes you a better person. So today, these students, it's rather than how it makes me feel about that, it is a responsibility that students look up to you. The way you have to conduct yourself, the way you have to plan things well in advance and keeping yourself in the shoes of a student. एक होता है एक responsibility है. And when we start thinking about it, today's parents and the viewers of this, the reason why I accepted coming here, because it's a responsibility, because today, unless someone is in the crossroads, like they are in the 10th and 11th and 12th, slowly the maximum degree that people will study or a formal education will become 10th and 11th and 12th. That's how the West is living today.
Yes.
Because whatever someone has to get shaped today, is in this 3 to 4 years.
Correct.
The 9 to 12th is what someone has to shape, and whatever happens later is all like a kind of a toppings and addings on the base. And if this base is formed well, and if they are exposed to different things, the real you, rather than someone becoming a journalist after studying engineering after 4 years, or someone becoming a fashion designer after doing a master's in biotechnology. So why can't someone choose a right path when they're in the 10th, 11th, and 12th? That's more important.
So, Charan, are we as schools and colleges missing out on something? Do you think the education system has to revise? Admissions take place. Students take admissions in biggest colleges, universities. Still, some kind of external help is required. Some more tuition classes, some more other classes, some other speaking skills classes. So, do you think we as education system have to change somewhere, or are we failing somewhere, or is there any curriculum change that is needed, especially focusing more on grade 9 to 12?
So, to be honest, Bansari, it's like I tell you, there's no need of any change in systems first. First of all, the biggest problem in today's schools or colleges is personalization at scale is the challenge. Because there are like, how do you categorize people is more important. Today, a 10th A section, 10th B section, 10th C section are formed. But how do you form those sections? How are you trying to create? Because there's a heterogeneous mix. The basic problem today is one size fits all. We are not personalizing the learning. And at scale, it is very tough because the cost of learning will increase. Today, the first point which I wanted to convey here to your question is, there is a student who is an introvert, and we keep rubbing on him saying that your communication skills are low. It's not communication skills are low. His speaking skills are low.
Right.
His listening is fine. His writing is fine. His reading is fine. Communication skills means it's a combination of all four.
Yes.
We feel if he's not speaking, his communication skills are low. That is a standard statement which is made. But rather than that, if he is an introvert, how can we shape him into a good editor? How can we shape him into a good IT developer? If someone is great at communication skills, which I say that the whole speaking skills is an extrovert, there are certain professions. If someone is an ambivert, and some people are socially introvert, but one-to-one they are great. So it depends on how do you categorize people and try to map the things accordingly. Today, most of the parents, because of the work life, and both the parents working, we are not spending enough time with these people. When I say people, they are the kids, the gated communities, the type of people whom they are meeting. We don't know. And what are they getting influenced? Who are their role models? And how are you conducting yourself before them? We as kids didn't like someone rubbing things on us, and now we are trying to do the same. And are we not understanding that the times are changing? Are we not understanding that your own workplace, your own job is not at, secured because of AI and a lot of other things? So how are we trying to do that? Are schools keeping up the pace? I say they are trying to, but the kind of volume game that they have to play, they're not trying to meet that. So I keep saying, like, one, classification, second, personalization, because the biggest learning happens, what are they exposed to? If you say that something is in demand, we are like sheep, and we try to be a herd of sheep where we follow one another, and we don't try to understand what is the basic equation. Before I wind answering this, demand and supply. If the less supply, more demand, but we go to the place where there is more demand and the supply increases and the demand falls. So we need to understand that basic equation.
So, my dear viewers, let me tell you what Charan and his team do. Charan has built one of the biggest student tribe, and they connect the students to better internships. They mentor them, and they give them very good industry connections, and also provide them with the job opportunities, internships, and more. So, Charan, let me ask you, why get into this? Why did you want to start helping students, especially focusing more on tier 2 and tier 3 students?
So, in our classification of tier 1 and tier 2, tier 3 depends on the type of college. So, the tier 1 is something like which is related to the premier colleges, which are like the IITs, the IIMs, and the well recognized institutions. Those colleges, a lot of procedures are set and standard operating procedures are there, and a lot of good people visit them. They find role models. So we divide accordingly. Generally in student tribe, we try to give three capitals. First is the intellectual capital. Second is a social capital. Third is a financial capital. Intellectual capital is all about the right knowledge, right role models, and how do you learn from the person who has done it, been there, done that. If you want to learn AI, learn from the person who has worked on the Microsoft AI platform. So you learn something which is very, actually implemented in the industry rather than the theoretical stuff. Second, social capital is a network which you build. Through our events, through our community meetups, there are a lot of people whom you meet because today, in your own school, let's say you take a student in 10th A, he might not be known to the 10th B guy. So it's like technically speaking, he is not known to a third person. He doesn't know more than a set of people. If he is going to a sports team, he might know that sports team or the classmates which are there in that four walls. Today, the networking is shrinking. So we need to expand someone's horizons and we start giving that exposure to them, to a lot of other college students, so they build that network. Third is the financial capital. What we started doing, because we handle, in the age of 16, 17 se leke 24 tak, we started giving them gigs, small one-day gigs, freelancing gigs, internships, opportunities, and that convert into full-time opportunities to earn, where they are exposed to a lot of work. So that financial capital is helping them to learn more things and be more responsible with money too. And apart from that, we start giving scholarships and discounts to the financial capital. And the tier 2 and tier 3 for us are all these colleges which are non-premier colleges, which are there in tier, the villages or outskirts of Hyderabad, non-branded institutions. We bring them together on one platform. So we start connecting them to different internships and opportunities, and some people start working with Student Tribe also. Once they start working, because they are skilled, they are brilliant, they know how to chalk their way out. And they start creating new opportunities for them, and they start exposing them to different people and different opportunities too. Yeah.
So Charan, tell me, what do you feel about the current generation? The technology access that they have, the academics that they are into. Do you think, because when we were students, all we had to do was study to get a good job. So do you think the current generation believes in that only academics will take them somewhere big in life? Because this generation is very different. Do you think this current generation is skilled enough?
See, I'll tell you, generations are here to change. Now we are sitting in 2025. There's a new generation, beta started now. Now you're handling Gen Alpha in schools. Yes. I'm handling Gen Z, which is the last, let's say, Gen Z. After that, Gen Alpha, which is in schools now. Now Gen Beta, whoever are born from 2025. First of all, the times are changing. The learnings are faster. They're exposed to a lot of information now. They are more like opinionated. They know what they want. It is just that we have to play the role of a guide. Rather than telling them what to do, if they want to do something, how can they be best in that is what we need to guide. Or is the right people in that walk of life. If someone wants to be a journalist, they should meet a Bansari Trivedi and they should understand how to work in print journalism and the TV, because you worked in both. Now you turned yourself into a mentor or a trainer, and what are the different phases? And how can you scale? So every profession, the role models and the right mentors is a far more important thing rather than just telling that what is a generic opinion about it. So this generation wants to meet the real people more. Correct. Because we studied textbooks more. Yes. Now we studied textbooks and we studied Google later, the internet. We saw the power of internet, and the PowerPoints. Now it is chat GPTs, Claudes, Perplexities. So it's like things are changing with the tools too.
Definitely, they are skilled. They have access to all the technology in the world. But don't you think they are a little stubborn? When we try to guide them, they take it as a lecture.
Two things. Again, answering your first question first, are we ready to listen to them? Do we have patience? Is the other way of putting it. First, we need to have patience to listen to them. Today, majority of them, being a parent, I completely empathize that we are going through our own things. So the whole mindset that which we are having our own professional tensions and stuff, where we are not listening to them. Because they want to tell as mundane things that I met someone today in school. Are you ready to listen to them? Are you having that dining table conversation? So when you listen to them, they feel important. If you are not listening, they try to find someone who will listen to them. And they are trying to talk to someone who might not be as safe as you are. So you need to be the person, or you need to give that ear to the person first. So it's like, I'm not trying to be preachy here, but the way we have to do is like when we listen to them, they feel important.
Yes.
Even a chat GPT today, it's all about, are you curious? If you are curious to know something, if you're prompting, it will reply back. But are our learning models trained enough to reply back to them? Are we learned enough to reply back to them? If our the machine learning models, our brain learning models, if we are learned well, if they ask a question, just imagine a role play. If I am the parent and you are the kid and you ask me a question, if I respond to you and then you feel satisfied, you go to a chat GPT and ask, it will respond to you from the information which it has. Today, when we are connecting the kids to write human chat GPTs, the human learned models, at least there's a critical thinking involved. I always say chat GPT is a good tool to utilize. Fine, it is just doing the mundane things. How to write a letter was a 5 marks question for us. Today, a chat GPT gives you a letter. I run a company with 50 employees. And every employee, whenever the team members, when they want to have a leave today, the mails have become more polished today. Because they write a prompt saying that write a letter to a HR telling that I'm going on a leave for a day. It gives you a nice body and he copies it and he pastes it. So I can't judge someone with their writing skills now. But where to use it, how to use it, because rather than writing that letter, he would have wasted 15 minutes. Now he is not wasting the 15 minutes. It means that I can have 14 minutes of productive work, which I can extract from him.
Agreed.
The same thing in the tools too. Like, are we asking the right questions? So what should we train students now? To ask right questions. There was a time when someone asked a question, then it was a problem for a teacher. But a real teacher likes students who ask right questions. The challenging questions and relevant questions. So right questions, challenging questions, relevant questions, and the art of questioning itself is what needs to be taught. It's not, gone are the days, it's all about the answers. It's all about the questions now. Wherever we are, why the road is like this, why the school is required, why these timings, why this rule. When someone asks why, because it's all starts with a why. And when you ask why, the tough questions, the answers are not so easy.
Now that we are talking about this current generation, Charan, like we just spoke, how they are stubborn and they are little careless. So, I have some crazy wild stuff that they have done when it comes to career fails. I'm going to read some out for you. Let me know what you think about it. What's your feedback on the same? So, these students who were looking for a job, in their resume, they have made some blunder mistakes. So, one member mentioned, I put proficient in MS Paint on my resume. I called the recruiter bro during an interview. This is the attitude that they have and they still carry. I copied my friend's LinkedIn bio word to word. I sent my resume to a company and forgot to remove Dear Hiring Manager at XYZ from the last application. I was so nervous in an interview that I said love you bye to the recruiter at the end. What do you think about these?
Absolutely. See, again, this all shows how serious you are in few things. See, what it conveys, like let's say now you said that interview will start at a certain time and stuff. So it's about giving respect to your time. It's more someone respecting our time, someone giving a respect to the other person. And when this interview or the podcast got arranged, why do you stretch and come? Because you feel like this will be benefiting few people and you create a few impact. So it's all about when you're attending an interview, it shows the recklessness of the other person. Today, these are the examples. I'm not saying everyone is like that. And some people, the HRs, there was a recent article I was just reading, there was a Palki Sharma's video, why Gen Z is not favored to be hired by companies. Because today's Gen Z is fearless. They feel like if I don't have a job, I'll do 2 to 3 gigs. I'll survive. And the previous generation has worked hard and saved a lot. The reason a lot of families, they, if you have a house already, let's say when we were having a casual chat before the podcast, if you already have a house which is taken care, there's no hard motivation for you to buy another one. It doesn't make sense financially to buy another house. So the point here is the same thing. There are students, there are different sectors. We can't just say generalize it saying that everybody is like that. But those acts, those funny acts here and there shows a recklessness on the part of the person first. Today it is in the form of an email. Previously it was in the form of a letter. Which address you are posting to it, or the missing the last date of the application. All these things were in the form of print. Now it is in the form of digital. Tomorrow it will be in the form of something else. So, but I feel like some things have changed. Let's say now in my own office, now people call me with a name. That's okay. So we move on with few things. There was a day when you have to address someone with a sir. Second, there was a time when unless you email, you won't get a response. Today, because of the founders say WhatsApp me. Send the invoice on the WhatsApp. So things are becoming more user experience. The UX is the most important thing. The format is not much given importance. Now, let's say someone has to wear a blazer to a conference. Now they say it is a summer, no need to wear one. So that doesn't mean that he doesn't have etiquette. So things are more flexible now. Things are because the role models are different. And people, there was the colonialism effects are slowly, going off. Because there are a few things which are trained us to become workers. But if you want to become a leader, you have to break few rules. Yeah.
Charan, you must be knowing Malka Yashasvi. So what do you think about him?
Oh, Yashasvi has a lot of energy in him. And I see a lot of people, especially the second generation entrepreneurs, always try to be on a more relaxed note. But this guy is very aggressive where he is working at a 2x speed. Being a good friend, it's not that I'm trying to scratch his back or just giving good words. Someone who is ambitious and someone who is a hard go-getter who is trying to do few things. My best wishes to him. Yeah.
All right, Charan, now I need some more feedback from you. In fact, help. These are the questions that the students are posting online and they want to know, like for example, a student from Tier 3 college wants to work at Google, but their resume is weak. So where do they even start?
So first of all, irrespective of the college, first you should know how to attend hackathons, how to, let's say do a reverse path. So try to network with existing Google employees, trying to reach out through LinkedIn's and different platforms and different networking meetups and understanding our platforms like Student Drive where we connect to someone who is already working at Google. There's always a reverse path which we can create. First, maybe as a fresher, you might not be getting an opportunity, but you can start chalking out in next 3 years. How do you crack that? Second, are there any hackathons which are happening which allow you to showcase your skills? Obviously, again, bottom of the day, you should have skills. Even if you're from a top college and you don't have skills, they'll fire you. After you join also, if you don't perform, they'll fire you. But the point, even if you're from a smaller college, how do you crack that? First, work on your skills. And second, attend hackathons. Third, build your own IPs, which can be bought over by some companies. Fourth, try to be in the vicinity of the existing teams so that you fall in their eyes. So how does it happen? One, their contests, their applications for new job openings. Third, their vendors they try to give some jobs to vendors where they can work at Google but not full-time at Google. But sometimes they might convert them into full-time into Google if you perform well. So these are the different ways that you can chalk up. Yeah, unless you are in the, you are moving out of comfort zone. So it's like if you want to start your own news channel, you have to first resign your job. So you can't just aspire from a greater life. So you can't have a Louis Vuitton if you're happy with a basic, what you call the Milano. Yeah.
Right. An introvert wants to become a top entrepreneur, but they hate socializing. Give them your survival guide.
Two things: have a great product so that you have great revenues, so you need not go out, or have a co-founder who is an extrovert so that he handles the whole glam sham and you do the work.
So, Charan, I have gone through your student tribe page, and your team members go on asking students some fun and weird questions like, how would the world be without girls? How would the world be without boys? And they just randomly throw some math equation on them. So now it's your time to become one of them who is interviewed. So I'm going to throw some questions at you. Are you ready for it? So what was your go-to hangout spot in college?
Canteen. Obviously, that's a place where you can eat. When you're stressed, you always love to eat. Yeah.
What's the weirdest excuse you've heard for skipping class or given for skipping class?
Someone died.
What would the world be like without students?
There's no future.
Have you ever been ghosted by a recruiter, Charan?
A lot of times. See, again, that's a part of the life. You have to just live with it. Yeah.
Freakiest interview question you've ever been asked?
Are you married? Yeah.
Charan, do you remember any of the funniest student you've met? Anything about him or her that you would like to share with us?
Someone asked me, how are you surviving? And he said, are you okay? Are you broke? It was so kind of nice of him. So.
Charan, why don't you drop 3 students hack that every student must know, but nobody talks about it?
First, being yourself busy with different works. It's not about this or that and stuff. First is that. Second, trying to funnel it, avoid distractions. When I say, people just say avoid distractions in a very generic way, but I always say try to meddle. Let's say if you have 3 years of graduation, the first year is explore everything, try everything. That's okay. Second thing, narrow down. Third, choose a couple of them and become the best in it. How are you on the top of the mind when someone thinks about few things? Okay, you want to be a podcaster, be the best podcaster. It's like if you want to be a good cinematographer, whenever I think about cinematography, I have to think about that person. So you have to become, get identified with a verb. It's like verb, when noun becomes a verb, it becomes a brand. So what is the action that you are taking? And how are you being remembered? Because the brand building is not what you want to tell about you to others, but what others know about you. Right. And that's the journey that every student has to build. How you want to be identified as. And you need to be identified as a certain thing because that is the next 30, 40 years of life that you are identified as. And you're building that. And that foundation is being built in 17 to 21. Okay, you're not a great coder, chuck it. It's okay. But what are you good at? Am I good at selling? Am I good at marketing something? Am I good at business development? Am I good at operations? Am I good at a certain skill? What is my first skill? What is my secondary skill? Because having 2 skills is more important always, because there's always a side hustle and a main one.
Do you think art is still considered as a profession? Students still share that when they want to do something different, when they want to do something different beyond math, beyond science, they want to take up art and humanities. Do you still think that is considered as a profession even now? Because there's a lot of backlash that students hear. Even now, music is not considered as a good profession. Even now, art is not considered as a good profession. So what do you have to say about it?
Yes. See, that will be there after 10 years also. Even when you become parent and you have a kid also, you also wanted a safer career for your kid, where there are more opportunities. But how do you convince? That's the most important thing that we have to tell. What is the antidote to it? Right. Number 1, we have to tell them, rather than telling them, proving them with it as a side hustle, which can take the role of the main one. So let's say if I want to be a podcaster, it is ambitious. Okay, I'm a chirpy talker. I can be a podcaster. But you start your channel and grow its subscribers subtly. And then tell your parents, if without doing it as a side hustle only, if I can do this much and earn this much or get recognition this much, what will happen if I do it for the full time? And tell them that 12 months I will try or 18 months I'll try. If it works out, it has to work out in next 18 months. Otherwise, I'll come back to the path which you have told. That's a better way of negotiation rather than being adamant and losing time. So always tell, like, negotiate with time. Saying that 18 months मैं try करूँगा, नहीं हुआ तो again I'll come back to this. At least they'll give a try. Number one, that's if you're not strong, don't try to choose all these things. Just succumb to it and sulk all your life. But point is, if you are strong, if you're not able to convince your own blood-related parents, how can you convince a stranger to sell your product? If your convincing skills are not at your home, what will you convince someone else? So you need to convince your own people. If they don't believe you, why will a stranger believe you? A lot of people, I keep doing that social service day in, day out. I think that is a good karma which I'm gathering. Yeah. Well, there was one girl who was studying engineering and she was pissed off because she was not cracking any IT interview. The parents were very orthodox and they were worried and stuff. She got to know about us because she was working as a student with us. And then one day the parents came and they said, like, this lady keeps on doodling and she does nothing and she's not cracking anything. I said, like, make her use UI design and other careers rather than pushing her into coding. They didn't listen, but later they said, like, what will you say? I said, like, next 6 months, let her get trained. If she is fine, she will get a job. Otherwise, it's okay. We'll try to make her learn some IT technology and push her. Later, now she started the doodling. I told her, why can't you convert that into apparel? And now she runs her own boutique. So it's like sometimes some stories are possible. But the point is, because she's not trained as a designer, she came out with some designs which are not technically right. And when they're not technically right, people appreciate it. See, we started in Student Tribe also a vertical called CARE. So careers, addictions, relationships, and emotions. I've hired professional psychologists to take counseling sessions. I'm not a trained psychologist to comment on it. But what I personally believe is, like, we need to talk. Unless we start talking, all these things keep popping up. Suicides and you name it, people, they die of suicide. They don't commit suicide. Because you need to understand the whole logic is that they felt lonely. They don't have anyone to listen or talk. To resort to such step or a grave step for the depression. Yes, it's clinically a problem, but do we have a solution to it? Is it genetic? Is it something coming from the one generation to another? Someone is passing it on. What are the traumas that they have? What are the childhood traumas that they have? So they have to vent it out. So again, I'm circling back because we are ending the interview. I'm circling back to the starting thing. Are you listening? When you listen, all these things are easy to solve. So you name, like, okay, fine, depression is not at just a young age. Maybe someone at relationship level, someone after marriage, someone after pregnancy. Who knows? At every stage, we have to face this. But are we telling them that it's okay and you're not the only one who is going through that? So a lot of others are also going through that. So they need to find a resort. Yeah.
So you mean to say that students should talk. It is necessary to talk. Only when they talk, they will understand that all of them are in the same boat. All of them are going through the same struggles. And in fact, they can help each other.
Yes.
So Charan, my last question to you would be that it is said that even now 70% of the jobs are not created for the current and upcoming generation. So what do you have to say about it? Because now all of us are working and doing the same kinds of jobs, and the arrival of ChatGPT has, taken over several jobs as well. So what do you think about this when I say 70% jobs are not even created for the upcoming generation?
See, the world is changing. There was a time when it was changing 5 years. Now it is changing every 5 months. So you need to be very flexible. There's a reason I keep telling the current degrees are not enough. So you need to adapt to the new world order, and every other time. Let's say There was internet, there was a calculator before that. Now there is AI. So tools are taking over. So either you need to be good with the tools or you need to build the tools. So if you are good with any of these two, you have a safe career.
Charan, if you had to sign off a yearbook at this point of time, what would you write?
Make it count. Every year I always say, like, the year which will change your future. When you just manifest it, it will start happening because you wanted it. Because you yourself are not training your subconscious saying that I want to change. It won't happen. Because if you want it badly, the nature will support you. Yeah.
Okay. And that's a wrap on this social scoop. If you love this episode, share it, tag us, and let us know what was your biggest and funniest career fail that you've ever had. Until then, keep hustling, keep building, and remember, you do not need a tier 1 college to succeed in life. I am Bansari Trivedi signing off. Thank you.